Hello everyone, how are you? Good, glad to hear it. Okay, so what I want to talk about today, something that's been on my mind quite a lot, is picking. Yeah, but picking guitar actually. I'm not picking fruit or picking other things. Right, what I want to start with, how do you hold your plectrum? Do you actually use a plectrum? Maybe you use your fingers instead? I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, nothing wrong with either. Now, one thing I remember being shown in a magazine years ago, I think it was Michelangelo. Yeah, that guy with that guy's got like the two guitar things, and he does sweep picking very fast. He says, well, if you imagine like holding a key, like a Yale lock key, and you would naturally want to hold the key like that, and then that gives you this position. And I've seen a lot of players, actually a lot of my favourite players, will actually hold the pick like this. As you know, you can probably tell from this guitar, I'm a big Vinnie fan. And he holds it like that, and he uses these fingers then for picking as well, which is great. But what I've noticed, because I'm also influenced by Brian May and Ritchie Blackmore, as you're probably aware, and Ingve as well, and they tend to hold the pick more like this. Now I've noticed that I've been holding the pick more like this as well, and that, like, these fingers, they're not actually doing that much. It's not necessarily a disadvantage. It just means it's just a different style. Now, are there any actual benefits from holding a pick like this to holding a pick like this? Well, if you actually think about it, like your fist is close, so a lot of the action's coming from your wrist, which means that like a lot of the strength is coming from your forearm. And then there's the thing with that, I've noticed sometimes, even with some of the more classier players, that the elbow's actually coming into play here as well, and that can lead to all kinds of like RSA. Not RSA, that's the typing signal, isn't it? Yeah, repetitive strain, RSI, I think that's what I mean. Repetitive strain injuries, because like if you're doing this, it's going to hurt your elbow, it's going to hurt your wrist. So in some ways, there's some advantage to holding a pick like this because like it means that my arm is practically still, and it's a combination of my fingers and my wrist. I'm not using my wrist that much, but it's more sort of like a twist in the wrist when it is actually moving. And what I'm doing as well is like a pinching action where I use the thumb to actually angle the plectrum. So there's a bit of pick slanting going on. And I'll also notice that I don't pick every note as well. Sometimes I'll just hammer notes on instead, or I'll just let my left hand do the playing. So we're back to this thing about coordination, where your picking hand and your left hand, yes, it's good to have them combined so that I'm anticipating, if I'm picking like up and down strokes here, that I'm anticipating what my left hand or what my fingers are going to be doing. But if I'm not picking the notes, then I can be setting up where the actual pick is going to lie to when I actually do come in with the pick. Yeah, that's just a bit of noodling to show. Okay, so I don't know. I mean, what do you think? I mean, how do you hold your pick? Is it something you've actually given consideration to? And then following from that, there's a couple of exercises that I thought we could go through. One's by, it's a violin exercise actually, Kayser. It's another violin exercise book, which I'm finding very useful. And that one goes like this. That's Etude number 9, and it goes. Now, if I actually look at the playback of the video, I'll be able to notice: am I doing my picking right, or you know, how good is my picking? So that's the Kayser exercise. The other one is by Kreutzer. Now this is like for most violinists, this is the staple diet, that you'd be working through this pretty much every day, just taking the patterns. Not necessarily doing them as written, but just doing over different inversions and things. And this is like, this would be Etude number 1 from that. Which, I mean, I've had to transpose it, but that would go something like. And so on and so on. But what I'm finding with that exercise is it's quite good for combining alternate picking with the arpeggio stuff. I got that one wrong. So that's a really good exercise, because like I did it on those 3 strings. You then do it on these 3 strings, then on these 3, and then on these 3. And it shows you not being sloppy anymore, because you're going to have to pick every note or play every note so it's clean. Now here I've just got a few effects, bit of chorus, delay, reverb. So I'm not using any overdrive, because I mean the thing with the overdrive is it just masks a lot of sloppy playing, and that's what we wanted to try and get rid of. Because once you've actually got that down, you'll find that it really will push you forward. Now the other thing, the final thing actually, just before I go, these exercises, they're for developing a technique known as martelle, which is where you're resting the bow on the strings, and it's staccato but fluid at the same time, if you know what I mean. Now, because we're using a plectrum, or we're using our fingers, we don't quite have, it's not quite the same for us. So instead, what we've got is the palm muting. So it's kind of an equivalence, I reckon, between martelle bowing and palm muting. And I think it was probably something like Aldemila who first sort of exploited that. I mean, he's certainly one of the best at exploiting that. So you perhaps you can experiment with the actual damping of your hand here, and then you know, just to get some articulation out of it, because pretty much every violin worth his salt, or worth her salt, has got a good martelle. And actually, one way of gauging how good a violinist is how good his or her martelle is. Well, I would say the same with a guitarist. It's like, how good is your articulation of what you're playing? Okay, I think that's all I want to talk about today. Please comment below if you have any suggestions, any responses. That'd be great. Alright, I'll see you soon. Thanks. And it's a lovely sunny day as well, so what you're doing indoors, go out for a walk. All right, see ya.